the book of Ecclesiastes. The most influential book I've ever read is the Bible. The most content and wisdom-packed book I've ever read is the Bible. And one of my favorite books in the Bible is Proverbs. And I recently finished Ecclesiastes. And it's one of my favorite books as well. The wisdom that I found in this specific book is eye-opening. Whenever I read the Bible, I read it to learn something. To learn something that I can implement into my life. I feel there's no point for me specifically in reading the Bible just to read the Bible. I read the Bible for a reason. Like any book, I don't just read the book to read the book. I read the book because there's a reason. I want to learn something from it. So, Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, these are my favorite type of books. And as I grow, I want to share more of the specific points or verses that resonate with me, and hopefully they may resonate with you. I'm going to say every single verse without changing, and here and there I'll add my 2 cents on what I think on that specific thought. Let's begin. One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. That which has been is what will be, that which is done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of things that are to come by those who will come after. What I think about this is mainly the thought process of perpetual succession. Things must go on, the show must go on. Earth hobbles along while you die and perish. Things continue. When you die, the world doesn't die. So you need to always have that in the back of your mind, that in this small gestation of time that you're on the earth, what can you do to be more Christ-like? What can you do to have an influence on other people? What can you do to have a good impact on other people? That's the major thing I'm grasping from this specific reading. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping for the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be numbered. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. When I looked on all the works that my hands had made, and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed all was vanity and grasping for the wind, there was no profit under the sun. When I saw that wisdom excels folly as light excels darkness. Therefore I turned my heart and despaired of all labor in which I had toiled under the sun. For all his days are sorrowful, and his work burdensome. Even the night in his heart takes no rest. This is all vanity. Nothing is better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that his soul should enjoy good in his labor. For good gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man who is good in his sight, but to the sinner who gives the work of God, gathering and collecting, that he may give to him who is good before God. So what I've grasped from this specific teaching is, number one, wisdom has a price. Knowing too much has a price. If you know too much, you can't live the same life. You can't be surrounded by the same people, because you understand that the world works in a specific way, and not everybody thinks the same way to the way a prudent, wise individual may think. So that leads to forms of alienation, that leads to seclusion, that leads to separation. and separation leads to sorrow. So I agree with that. And the works on earth are vanity. The only reason we get into heaven is through the grace of Jesus Christ. You don't enter heaven in any other way. You can try and be a good Christian, try to be like God, like Jesus, act like Jesus, be kind, give, all with the thought process of going to heaven. But if God, Jesus, judge and see that your heart isn't pure, you're not going to heaven. Everything needs to come through pure love. Everything needs to be true and utter love. That's what Jesus pushed. Love for each other, love for yourself, and most above all, love for God. And works of vanity. Realistically, the most enjoyment you can get on this earth is eating good food, having good drink, and having work that kind of fulfills your heart. Other than that, everything else is meaningless. The cars, clothes, vacations, so on and so forth. These are all ostentatious, meaningless things to feed the ego, to feed your sense of wanting validation from others. But things that make you feel good about yourself in terms of pure and utter joy in this world are just those three things. But true fulfillment comes from love of God. Everything has its time. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time for gain, a time to lose, a time to keep silent, a time to speak, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for war, a time for peace. Everything has its own time. I know that nothing is better for them than to rejoice and to be good in their lives, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. Good food, good drink, it's the gift of God for good labor. I know that whatever God does, it shall be forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing can be taken from it. God does it, that men should fear before him. God requires an account of what is past. God shall judge the righteous and the wicked. For there is a time there for every purpose and for every work. All go to one place, all are from the dust, and all return to dust. Who knows the spirit of the sons of men? God is the great judger. God will judge us. God constantly judges us. He knows us. He knows the plans for us. You can't fool him. You can't think you're smarter than him. You're not. You're not more powerful than God. Nobody's more powerful than God. Humble yourself. All you can do is try and be a good vessel to spread the gospel and add love and joy into this world that's full of evil. The value of a friend. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. For therefore one will lift up his companion. But woe to him who is alone when he falls, for he has no one to help him. Again, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one be warm alone? Though one may be overpowered by another, 2 can withstand him. Better a poor and wise youth than an old and foolish king who will be admonished no more. Just to touch on the friendship, iron sharpens iron. You need to find good friends, good colleagues, good allies. I've realized that I can't waste my time with people that don't think like me. I can't waste my time with people that don't believe or want to achieve the same things that I want to achieve. Everybody I choose to spend my time with needs to be somebody of purpose, of substance, of some form of value to add to creating a better world, a better existence for myself and for those around me. If you're poison, I can't be around you. But I will not isolate myself because it says in the Bible, isolation will kill you. We are social animals. We need to be amongst people. You can't be a loner all the time. You don't have to be surmounted by the masses. You don't have to be, because not everybody is good-hearted and good-willed and wants the best for you. But you need to have allies, connections, people that you can come to for certain things to help you to grow. You grow together, you achieve things together. You need allies. You can't do everything alone. Do not be rash with your mouth, and let your heart utter anything hastily before God. For God is in heaven, and you on earth, therefore let your words to be few. For a dream comes through much activity. Voice is known by his own many words. When you make a vow to God, do not delay to pay it. For he who has no pleasure in fools. Better not to vow than to vow and not pay. This is something that many Christians I've seen do. Sin, vow to become better, sin again, repent, sin again, repent, sin again, repent, sin again, repent, sin again, repent. But not because you're truly struggling, just because you don't really have a sense of pride for the words that come out of your mouth. I see a lot of people say things and then completely go 180, change. Not just to other people, but to themselves. So if you can do that to other people, yourself, you're going to do that to God. And God looks at that with disdain. He does not like people that don't keep their word, or at least try to. So that's something many Christians struggle with. I've seen many people will continuously, perpetually sin, vow to get better, and sin and vow to get better, and sin and vow to get better, but not actually do the work to get better. If you sin perpetually, but you actually putting in the work to become better, there's nothing wrong with that. You're trying, you're not perfect, you're not Jesus. But if you sin with no plan of action to be better, you can't break your word to God. It's disrespectful. That's what I think. You can't break your word to other people. You can't break your word to yourself. You can't break your word to God. Your word is very important. If somebody hears you say something, you look them in the eye, you say something, say, this will not happen, this will happen, this will happen, that won't happen. You need to do everything in your power to make sure that happens. But that's the way I am. That's the way I think. If you see the oppression of the poor and the violent perversion of justice and the righteousness in a province, do not marvel at the matter. The profit of the land is for all. Even the king is served from the field. Stand up for what's wrong. Stand up against what's wrong. Stand up for what is right. If you see people getting oppressed, people getting bullied, you don't allow people to just get bullied and be a bystander within that hurt. Stand up if you have the strength. Stand up. Make the world a better place. As for every man to whom God has given riches and wealth, and has given power to eat of it, to receive his heritage and rejoice in his labor, this is the gift of God. Wealth is not a bad thing. I said that in the psychology of money, that there's a perception that Christians have that wealth is a bad thing, which is the utter pure lie. It's not. Your character is the bad thing. You're a bad man. And because you're a bad man, when you get wealth, you want to oppress people. If you're a good man, you get wealth, you're going to uplift people. It's very simple. People confuse it. It's not has nothing to do with wealth. Wealth is a blessing. Resource is a blessing. It's a blessing from God. If you put in the work and the labor and God blesses you with resource, your job is to have a good character and use that resource to help other people be more Christian, be more Christ-like, give more to the church, feed the hungry, employ the unemployed, educate in any way you can, educate yourself. Wealth is a good thing, but it's a good thing to people with good character. So focus on your character. Be a good man inside, within your soul. There's an evil which I've seen under the sun, and it is common. God has given riches and wealth and honor. All the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet the soul is not satisfied. For what more has the wise man than the fool? What does the poor man have? Who knows how to walk before the living? Better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of the desire. For who knows what is good for man in his life, all the days of his vain life, which he passes like a shadow? Who can tell a man that will happen after him under the sun? We can't tell the future, only God can. Live this life every single day with trying to be the best version of you. For he who fears God will escape all sorrow. Wisdom strengthens the wise, more than 10 rulers of the city, for there is not a just man on earth who does good and does not sin. For there is not a just man on earth who does good and does not sin. Do not take to heart everything people say. Very, 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 very strong, powerful verses. Number one, Christians that come and try belittle you for not being perfect. They're not true Christians. You don't come and belittle people for not being perfect, or at least trying. If you're trying to be a better man, but someone's coming to judge you, they're most likely projecting. Because nobody's perfect. Nobody is free of sin. The only person free of sin was Jesus. The apostles, Paul, even Judas, Andrew, everybody, all of them sinned. These are righteous men before they've sinned. Everybody sins. We have no right to judge other people. And if you hearing people say things about you, don't take it to heart. If people are judging you for not being righteous, but you're trying to improve, don't take it to heart, because God sees your actions. He sees and he knows your heart. They don't. So don't let people make you feel less of a Christian based off their projection. Keep the king's commandments for the sake of your oath to God. A man's wisdom makes his face shine, and the sternness of his face is changed. He who keeps his command will experience nothing harmful, and a wise man's heart discerns both time and judgment, because for every matter there is a time and judgment. Through a sinner does evil 100 times, his days are prolonged, and yet I surely know that it will be well with those who fear God, who fear before him. But it will not be well with the wicked, because he does not fear before God. So I commended enjoyment, because a man has nothing better under the sun than to eat, drink, and be merry, for this will remain with him in his labor all the days of his life, which God gives him under the sun. The righteous and the wise and their works are in the hand of God. Truly, the hearts of sons of men are full of evil, but for him who is joined to all the living, there is hope. Wisdom is better than strength. Wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. Words of the wise spoken quietly should be heard. Shout of a ruler of fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war. Wisdom is better than weapons of war. Peace. We need peace. Wisdom brings peace. But one sinner destroys much good. A wise man's heart is at his right hand, but a fool's heart is at his left. Wisdom brings success. The words of a wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of a fool shall swallow him up. Do not curse the king even in your thoughts. Do not curse the rich even in your bedroom, for a bird of the air may carry your voice, and the bird in the flight may tell the matter. I was having a conversation with an acquaintance the other day, and he was telling me about his pure and utter hatred and disdain for billionaires. I sat on that thought and his feeling, and I posed him with this question. If you hate billionaires so much, why don't you work so hard to become one and use that resource to empower other people? Because there's so many problems in this world. So many people suffering in this world. Pure and utter suffering. So many people that don't know anything, aren't educated. Why are you wasting your time hating on people that are kings, that have built empires for themselves through hard work, determination, and pain and risk? Why are you hating on these people instead of learning and studying them to become one so you can use that resource that you acquire to help other people? Think prudently. Don't think just now. Think prudently. Think in the future. Okay, why? Why am I doing this? Why am I hating on this person? Why do I not like this person? What am I trying? What am I giving off? What am I projecting? Is it an insecurity? Do I envy this person? Or is this person actually just a bad person that I know? Think. Let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and in the sight of your eyes. God will bring you into judgment. Therefore, remove sorrow from your heart and put away evil from your flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth before the difficult days come. The only way to overcome life, because life is not this. Life is this. It's constant fluctuation, constant pain and suffering. A bit of high, a bit of joy, a bit of love, but it fluctuates consistently, continuously. So the only way to deal with this fluctuation is through God. He keeps you level. He keeps you buoyant in this wave. So you go with the wave. You go with the wave. Like a boat, you go with the wave. You don't sink. That's the only way you can stay afloat in this fluctuation, this wave that's called life. It's through God. Finally, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. The book of Ecclesiastes.